Russia underestimated the economic sanctions of the West. Russia is weaponizing energy by cutting off oil and gas supplies to the West. And Russia demands that the oil importing countries must pay for oil and gas in rubles, Russian currency. The reason that Russia was convinced that the West would not be able to impose strong sanctions against Russia was because of various raw materials, including oil and gas. Putin thought the world would be in chaos immediately if Russia did not supply resources. But Canada is emerging as an alternative to Russia. Russia's Putin is increasingly in trouble. As the Russian raw material market is blocked by Western sanctions, Canada is becoming an alternative. The Wall Street Journal in the United States reported on March 28th. Canada is the second largest country in the world after Russia and a resource-rich country. As Russia's raw material exports have practically stopped due to Western sanctions against Russia, Canada is on the rise. Brazil, one of the world's largest exporter of crops, recently dispatched its agriculture minister to Canada to discuss importing potash fertilizer from Canada, as fertilizer exports from Russia and Belarus have been blocked. Before the Ukrainian war, Brazil's potassium imports depended mainly on Russia and Belarus. Half of it came from those countries. Imports from Canada accounted for around 36%. Agricultural Minister Teresa Cristina said the negotiations went well and that the two countries will strengthen long-term cooperation. In particular, Canada is located at a similar latitude to Russia, so its climate and geographical characteristics are very similar. Because of this, the raw materials produced by the two countries are largely identical. Both countries are among the world's largest producers of oil, uranium, nickel, and potassium. Canada is also the world's largest wheat exporter along with Ukraine. Because of this, buyers from all over the world start flocking to Canada. In particular, Canada has the fourth largest oil reserves in the world. Most of the oil is transported to the United States by pipeline and rail. And Canada is said to be able to increase production to 300,000 barrels per day. Canada is also a major uranium producer. Chemical, Canada's largest uranium producer, said it was recently ramping up production as orders have skyrocketed. As such, Canada is emerging as the resource powerhouse to replace Russia, drawing the attention of investors. Thanks to the unexpected boom, the Toronto Stock Exchange's flagship S&P/TSX index rose 3.5% this year. By comparison, the US S&P 500 fell 4.6%. The Wall Street Journal reported the Biden administration decided on March 31st to release the US strategic oil reserves for the next 6 months to stabilize oil prices, which have surged due to supply shortages due to the Ukraine crisis and the prolonged pandemic. Biden has announced an average of 1 million barrels of oil per day. The White House said the supply would help stabilize oil prices, calling it an unprecedented size of discharge. President Biden said in a speech to the public that Putin's choice of war has reduced the supply of oil to the market. In order to stabilize oil prices in the short term, the company plans to supply an additional 1 billion barrels of oil per day, the largest amount ever, for the next 6 months. President Biden also said he would ask Congress to impose fines on land that does not produce oil. After renting public land for oil drilling, the land that does not drill will be fined. There are 9,000 oil fields that have not started even after obtaining production permits. Companies that only own land that do not produce will have to decide whether to produce or pay the fine. Such policies by the United States and other Western countries are increasingly putting Russia's Putin in trouble. As Putin faces economic sanctions and other countries stop importing Russian natural gas, Russia's economy will suffer even more. We look forward to Putin's wise choice for all mankind and most of all, for the sake of the Russian and Ukrainian people.